One item to consider at a special meeting of the full council in relation to the review of the scheme for the establishment of community councils in Dumfries and Galloway. Following this item, we will then move into the second part of the day, which will be a full council meeting. There is a suitably bureaucratic explanation for there having to be two meetings. Anyone who is so inclined to find out the detailed reasons probably needs to get out more. But they can ask officers for more information later, as I intend to deal with the business before us. Sederunt, apologies.
Thank you, Leader. We have apologies from Councillors Dykes, Gilroy, Yen, Peacock and Smith, and Councillor McGregor is not present at the start of the meeting.
Moving on to item 2, any declarations of interest? No. Okay. Item 3, the review of the scheme for the establishment of community councils. Members will recall that in March this year we agreed that we would review our current scheme. Therefore, we're being asked to consider today our approval of an approach and timetable for the review of the scheme of establishment of community councils in Dumfries and Galloway. A note, the proposals ask for us to adopt the Scottish Government's model scheme at paragraphs 3.4 and 3.5 and to use this as a starting point for this review. Colin's here to answer any questions arising from the report. Members? Alistair?
Thanks very much indeed, Leader. I know that the recommendation says that we're simply asked to agree today the indicative timetable for reviewing the scheme, but and I presume that, you know, as part of the ongoing process of the timetable, Leader, will in fact be consideration given, as it were, to whether or not we should be adopting the documents as referred to in paragraph 3.4. In that regard, sir, I personally feel that there are certain aspects of these documents which require further consideration and further refinement. Now, I'm not going to waste your time today, Leader, by sort of spelling out in detail those areas which I feel do, in fact, need treated in that fashion. But can we have the assurance, sir, that going forward, that will indeed take place?
Yes. Okay. Anyone else? Willie?
Yeah, Chair, it's just on 3.7, whether currently 107 defined community council areas within Dumfries and Galloway, where 90 are currently established.
Sorry, Willie, can you speak? It's me, it's my hearing.
I'm on your right side, Ronnie. Yeah, it's really just to ask the question if there's an opportunity for the likes of Stranraer that's got two boundaries and one or a number of people are disenfranchised because they don't have a community council, but yet they can't participate in the one that does exist at this moment. Does this give an opportunity to look at that boundary, and if there is an appetite to change the boundary, to do so within this report?
Colin?
Thank you, Chair. Certainly, as part of the consultation, one of the aspects of the consultation is to seek communities' views as to the current boundaries and if they would like to make any changes to those boundaries. It's not possible for us to make changes to boundaries out with a formal review process. So if communities were so minded, they can provide feedback during the first phase, and we can look at refinements thereafter.
Thanks, Chair. Just on that, can you explain the mechanism by which a boundary could be changed? Timescales of what's the process?
Thank you. Essentially, during phase one or the first round of the consultation, communities will be asked to comment on the draft scheme, which includes the actual boundaries themselves. So if communities want to make changes to a particular boundary, then they could notify that, and then we would publicise the proposed changes in the second and third phases of the consultation process, so that again it's open and transparent as to what's been proposed, and other members of the community have opportunity to comment on that.
Ivor?
Chair, yesterday afternoon we had a workshop for the Scrutiny and Performance Committee, and we're actually sort of dealing with community councils, and consultation was one of the things that were coming up, how we actually consult with people. I think one of the things they feel is we go out with a scheme that this is what you're getting. Here's a document, read it, tell us what you think, and you're still going to get the same thing back. I don't note in the first period, I've maybe missed it, where we actually have a feedback to the community councils on their recommendations so that they know why we might be making a decision, as in if we can't do something because legally we can't, they might not know that. So is there a point in the first consultation round where they get feedback before it comes back to us so that it doesn't look like, well, we've made a decision and then they have to accept what we decide, rather they know why we've made that decision?
Colin?
Certainly what happened in the last review of the scheme was that all the comments that were made at each phase of the consultation, they were publicised with comments as to what was then done with those, whether they were adopted or not. Certainly in terms of this process, what I'm proposing to do is that we wouldn't just have a text-based consultation with community councils, but we would have an opportunity for workshops so that there can be more engagement and more discussion around the content of the scheme. But certainly at the end of each phase, the comments that are provided and what the kind of officer view is in terms of what's then reported to full council as a result of that consultation will be published and will be publicly available, so that people who've engaged with the process can certainly see what's happened in terms of the suggestions or the input that they've made.
Jim first. Jim Dempster.
Thanks, Leader. I've moved position. Just a quick question. It's in 3.9, where the document talks about Carlaverock Community Council being disestablished and deciding to set up as an independent organisation. And later on in the paper, it talks about community empowerment. Are we just recognising that's happened in this document, or are we saying that we'll also have some sort of formal engagement with these community groups, because they still have a role to play in representing their respective communities? And I appreciate that community councils are a formal part of our process. I'm just curious to see what the intention in the paper is in relation to organisations like Carlaverock Group.
I think certainly in terms of this particular paper, the focus is on community councils, which do have a statutory role. But I think speaking more broadly, the Communities Department is leading in terms of community engagement, and that means engaging with all aspects of communities, whether that's community groups, community councils, independent organisations, and even individuals. So certainly, I don't think we should see this as the only way in which we're engaging with communities. There will be a broader approach to engagement to make sure that communities are involved in decisions that affect them.
Yeah, this paper's purely for community councils, but you've got that. Colin? Colin Viper?
Yep, thank you, Chair. It was roughly the same actual question about Carlaverock. I just wondered, are they still going to get an admin grant and public liability insurance? And will they still get to comment on planning applications, etc.?
Okay, so the simple answer to that is no, they wouldn't. The statutory consultation is with community councils, although planning applications would still be made, would still go through a public process. So if they were minded to look at applications, they would be able to. Again, the admin grant and public liability insurance is specifically for community councils rather than for every independent organisation in the area.
Okay, Alyssa?
Grateful to the leader for letting me back in. It's just going back to the points that Ivor made. I'm not sure if I understood him entirely, or indeed, you know, I would agree. Now that's, I would hasten to suggest, sir, is probably more due to lack of comprehension on my part and lack of clarity in his. But you know, if you go to Appendix 5 and you'll see the first round of public consultation and the various bullet points there, as far as I'm concerned, leader, that to me represents a genuine and worthwhile effort by this council to go through the proper consultative process with those concerned. And I would like to think that, you know, if we do, and I'm sure we will, if we do what we're saying we will do in that part of the appendix, that we will, in fact, come back with relevant information and information which will assist us. In fact, the last bullet point, Leader, talks about reviewing the results of the consultation and engagement to result in an amended draft scheme. Well, that's, you know, that whether or not, you know, if there is such a proposal to have such amendments, and I would, as I've said earlier, I would anticipate that there probably would be, but I think, to be fair to the author of the report and those that are involved in this task, that to me, Leader, sets out in a more than reasonable fashion just exactly what we're proposing to do. I think it stands scrutiny, and I would like to think that at the end of that particular part of the process, we will have a better understanding of just exactly what the communities, the community councils, etc., are expecting of us and suggesting to us. Grateful to you, Leader.
Andrew?
Thank you, Leader. It's on a similar theme, very much about the 17 community councils that may not get involved in the consultation. And I'm getting the reassurance already that that is going to take place. For example, within my ward, I understand it's a possibility they might be trying to get themselves reconstituted, and I'd hope that they get the opportunity to be part of the consultation process.
Thank you, Councillor Wood. I think A has actually been through an election process and are now actually established. I believe it's the case. But in terms of the general point, where we've got community councils that where we've got community council areas where there is no community council, obviously there isn't an organisation for us to consult with because they don't exist. However, the consultation will be subject to public notices, and the consultation will not be limited only to community councils, but to anyone that wants to actually engage with it.
Okay, however you went back in.
Yeah, it was maybe just to clarify the point. I understand that we will be reviewing the results of the consultation, but it's actually the feedback to the organisations that take part. That's where they feel that we sometimes let them down. It's just getting the news back. This is why something might not happen. It might be a legal requirement that we can't allow what they want to happen. It's not that I don't agree with the process. It's just my understanding from public engagement. There's various forms. There's information meetings up to co-production, and consultation is a two-way feeding process whereby someone tells us, then we review back to them. And it was just to get that, and that has sort of come out through a lot of the scrutiny work we've been doing on public engagement was, can we actually get the feedback to them as to why the proposals they might put in aren't being accepted.
Okay, can we go to the recommendation? We agree, the indicative timetable? Okay, okay, it's agreed, but yeah.
Yeah, you know, I want some assurance that we actually do have the resources in the area offices to carry this out, because one of the issues we had in the past with community councils not adhering to the constitution was that we actually didn't have the resources there to support the community councils. We're not going to find ourselves in the position where community councils feel that they're not getting the engagement with council officers that they should have.
Thank you, Councillor. Certainly I can assure you that my team are resourced to carry out the engagement process, and what we're looking at as part of the restructuring of my team is making sure that we are able to provide an appropriate and a consistent level of support to community councils, whichever part of the region they're in.
Okay, item 4, I have no other business meeting. There'll be a short pause till we